I became a member of the NBA Board of Trustees. And when I was asked, my reason for saying yes is that I feel like NBA is one of the strongest expressions of disciples ministry in the world at this point. And I'm excited about the way NBA can help the church to remain open to what we need to respond to as God's people. My name's Jacque Foster, and I'm in St. Louis, Missouri.
And I'm Dave Boger, and I'm the pastor's spouse.
Well, I grew up disciples. We've counted it back at least 6 generations. And so I didn't know church that wasn't disciples, and grew up in 2 disciples congregations in Memphis, Tennessee, where my parents were members, and the other where my grandparents were members. And my paternal grandfather was a disciples minister who became an independent Christian church minister.
In my case, my mother began going to the Disciples of Christ Church in Akron, Ohio, and one of the many in Akron, Ohio, and that was how we became disciples as children.
That was High Street, right?
High Street Christian Church was the church that we were part of. That I became aware of NBA really when I met Jacque. And she was much more attuned to the wider ministries than, say, some of the churches that I'd been in earlier were.
And I remember here in St. Louis when Miracle Days were happening. And we took part in, I think, more than one Miracle Day here. One was at Dover Place that we took part in. And just the energy with which that was Ben Boren leading Miracle Days. And the sense, that was a new picture of NBA for me, because it was care for bringing our churches together in ministry and to be in covenant with each other and to help churches that needed help doing something, whether it was their building or their grounds. And that was very different than the work that I knew of with children's homes and older adults. So that was a new glimpse of NBA.
My earliest recollections of NBA are really built around learning its earliest history and learning that it was started in St. Louis by this incredible group of women.
Yeah.
And that story just grips my heart. And I think this is worthy. You
know, I'm really excited about how NBA supports, helps ministries develop across the denomination. But it seems like there are so many types of ministries that there's a wholeness. Ministries that have to do with addiction, ministries that have to do with people who've been abused. There's the prison and jail group. I think one that really touched me was when we here in St. Louis were dealing with racial conflict and doing some serious anti-racism work after Michael Brown's shooting and after Von Derek Meyer's shooting. There were many of us, not just disciples, but people across the city who were activists, who were stressed and dealing with some hard emotional trauma. And the fact that NBA's mental health ministry came in, and Angela led this amazing retreat. And we went on that retreat. And it included people beyond disciples of Christ, people who just needed care and needed to help to work through those issues. And so the fact that that ministry goes on and that NBA is doing that in places where first responders have been where churches have been dealing with natural disasters, and there's trauma and stress related to that. That is just a broadening of NBA that is amazing, and I think speaks to what the church needs to be doing today.
For me, generosity comes from my understanding of Jesus' life and the generosity that we have from Jesus, and that we each owe to the world as much as we can possibly give in terms of being generous. And generosity is more than just money. It is time, it is caring, it is all kinds of things. There's so many levels to generosity and so many ways that it can be expressed.
I guess I see generosity as giving out of who we're created to be. Giving of ourselves. I remember a number of years ago, it was time for us to reconsider or consider anew our pledge for a new year within the congregation. And I looked at the amount that Dave was suggesting in our conversation that we give, and I said, can we do that? And Dave got tearful and said, how can we not? And so I think that was a transforming moment for me. And so giving to NBA, in addition to giving to our congregation and other ministries and other places in the world, is important because NBA is a place that expresses what's in our hearts. I see the church as moving forward in a deeper expression of the gospel, and I think NBA is giving leadership to that.